Go tell those dogs what's up, Ollie. Go tell them to chill out. Good grief. Just sliding right on down. Good morning, friends and new visitors to the channel. I wanted to do a couple different things on this video, but primarily I'm going to give a 38.1 hours review on my 2038R John Deere tractor here. And just my thoughts and observations, having really put it to the test here pretty heavily, I'd say. In my first couple weeks of owning it. But before I get started with that, it's a glorious day out here in northern Utah. It's probably 40 degrees, it's a little bit above freezing, and the sun's out shining. It's really nice out here. And so I've got to head back to work and start, and I'll be gone for a few days. And I'm not going to have a whole lot of time to do this, so I wanted to wrap up this video before I head out of town. There's a couple other things I wanted to say. Is we're coming up on 200 subscribers, and I just barely made this channel live. We're sitting at about 30 videos now, maybe 5 weeks ago, something like that. So that's some pretty substantial growth, and viewers and subscribers are liking the content, pretty much the tractor content. So a couple of those videos actually went super tractor viral. One of them was for my Ohio Steel leaf collector lawn sweeper. That thing's sitting over like almost 12,000 views in just 2 weeks. So I've never had that good of success on some videos. And then my delivery day of this one is somewhere around 10,000 views. So I want to thank everybody that's clicking these videos and checking out the content and leaving comments and participating. I want to thank you all a lot, and just say 200 subscribers is kind of blowing me away. So what we're going to do here at the Liberty Freedom Farm up here in Liberty, Utah is we're going to take this old 100-year-old dairy farm sitting on 3 1/4 acres, and we're going to convert this into a tree farm. Hopefully we're going to grow some trees, some Japanese maples and some other bushes and landscaping shrubs and bushes. We're going to get a hoop house set up with a greenhouse up at the top of the property and plant quite a bit of trees. So we're going to kind of convert this farm into a tree farm. That's the objective here. And so there's a lot of work to do around this property to get it into shape. And this particular tractor here is exactly what I needed. Also wanted to mention there's a few channels that really helped me in deciding to get this tractor. And I'm assuming that if you're watching this 38-hour review of a 2038R, you're either already newly purchased one, or maybe you've ordered one and you're waiting for it to be delivered, or you're thinking about getting one. So I know there's a lot of content out there that's super helpful, and I just wanted to give a shout out to Good Works Tractors, Kalamazoo, Michigan, maybe, something like that, as well as Tractor Time with Tim, the Hardy Brothers, A Tale of Two Cabins, and there's this one other fella, I can't remember, Good Day in Ohio, maybe. So there's quite a few awesome channels out there that are super helpful with looking at all these tractors, particularly 2038s, 3025s, and the 1025s. So shout out to those guys. You guys are doing awesome content, and we all appreciate that, and it was very instrumental in helping me choose which tractor to get. So real quick, the things that I have planned for this tractor in the near future, and then we'll talk about what all I've put it through its paces here in the first 38 hours. I'm gonna put in a split cedar fence around the majority of the property. I've got barbed wire up on the top acreage, and that'll be good. We're gonna end up putting some, we're gonna try to get some sheep, and that'll kind of be our foray into livestock farming, but that's pretty much the extent. We've got some chickens, we're gonna have the sheep, and hopefully we'll be getting those little guys this spring. But I've got a lot of fences to put in, so I've got to get a post hole digger for this thing, and I'm planning to get one from Tractor Supply Company, a county line one, because they're like $650. Maybe you can get a discount on your birthday or something like that. But that's going to be a pretty big job. I've got a pretty big deck I want to install around the farmhouse with a coverage over it, and then we're going to hopefully put in a hot tub around there too for my wife. On that deck, we're going to put some ramps and stuff for her mobility issues. And probably set in a gravel driveway up to the top of the property. Again, set in the footprint for all the trees to be planted. Pretty much any gardening that we want to do. Don't have a tiller on this machine yet, but I do have a tiller on a small garden tiller on the John Deere 140. And a lot of this barn work that I had to do here. So driveways, grading, landscaping, digging post holes, and planting trees, removing a ton of bushes and relocating bushes and trees around the property. That backhoe is going to be instrumental in that. And a lot of concrete breakup and just moving stuff around. So right now we've got the 4 attachments, the standard bucket, which I want to come back and talk about how sturdy that thing was with the abuse I put it through. We've got the 42-inch fork lift tines. We've got the backhoe 270B and the box blade, which I have yet to mess around with. So let's bring you up to speed on what all I've done. If you haven't been watching the videos on the channel, this barn I'm sitting in right here was a pretty enormous project to get it broken out. The concrete busted out, had to get the jackhammer rented, and that backhoe was absolutely instrumental in ripping all this stuff out. And I've still got to get to where I can grade this level. But the reason I haven't done that yet is because it's really packed in here, and it's going to need those digger teeth on that box blade to really chew this up a little bit, and then to try to grade it out. But I've yet to pull the backhoe off of this machine because that's not a very complex process, but I did kind of want to document and video that process. Not that there's not a plethora of those available out there, but you know, just because it's part of the adventure here. So I haven't gotten to doing that yet because I haven't gotten the backhoe off yet, but that's when I get back from work, that's going to be the next big push. So right now we've just made it usable to actually get the trucks parked in here and get them out of the freezing cold out there and out of the wind. Wow, it's warm enough to be melting off the snow and ice. Hopefully later today, this pile of concrete will be gone. Now, we are far from having this place really close to being dialed, but just as far as a sizing it up effort here, just showing some of the amount of space that we're going to obtain out of this place. But good hell, the more you clean it up, the more you realize it needs more cleanup, you know. But it's going to be a serious bit of work and effort, but we should pretty much be able to get six trucks in here fairly easily. And I'm imagining the 2-post lift will be in this spot here. And then I'm not sure if we'll keep this door open as a garage door or what. But anyway, I think I'm gonna try to prepare to get the grader, the box blade onto the tractor so we can start leveling this out, which means I need to pull all these trucks back out of here and really try to level this thing out. Here's our box blade with the teeth on it. So real quick, talk about this front bucket. Okay, this is the standard bucket. It doesn't have any, it's not the heavy duty bucket, and so there's no front teeth to dig in. I think you can buy some clamp teeth or a clamp bar to really give your bucket the ability to really dig down, so I'll probably be looking into that. But while I was doing this job with all this breakout of this concrete, which took 3 different loads, dumpster loads, roll-off dumpsters essentially, to get that concrete moved out of here, I think he told me it was over 30 tons of concrete that I pulled out of this thing, busted out, dragged out, load by load with that front bucket and the backhoe into a pile, and then practically loaded all that into those dumpsters. I mean, 30 tons, that's 60,000 pounds of concrete. That's a shit ton of concrete. And a lot of those pieces were really large pieces, and that bucket, it needed to be done, and there was a lot of scooping and dragging and scratching and scraping and bumping and bruising on that thing. And once you're finally kind of fully committed to that thing, you're just gonna have to take it as it comes. And I was pretty sure I was gonna have to be really banging out some dents and bends in it, and because it's kind of getting a little tweaked and bent. It was really just getting worked, and touch it up with some new John Deere spray paint, but honestly, overall, it's like it handled it really well. It stood up to it really well. And I just can't think of any other task that really would have put that bucket to the test harder than moving 30 tons of concrete out. So it held up great. I got about 10-15 hours into it before I greased anything on it, and then I kind of realized, it's been greased at the factory or at the shop and I put it together. But so I greased it up, and I highly encourage that. I've got some other grease now. I need to get a electric one because there's just so many grease fittings on here. And if you add that to all of the, rest of everything else I have to grease around here, I need an electric grease gun. I've used them before, they're really handy. But I definitely encourage that. Keep those things all greased, the backhoe as well, everything. Before I really give my thoughts about how sturdy this tractor really was, kind of want to give a reason why I went with the John Deere, honestly. And it's kind of simple, but when I got the place, the property here, I'd driven a friend of mine's New Holland, the blue one. I was like, man, this thing's badass. I need one of these, or I hope to need one day. And that was like last summer, before I got the farm. And so I knew I needed one of this kind of particular size. I asked him, we had a fun conversation. He said, yeah, you're definitely gonna need something with about 30 horsepower for, your size of property. So that was kind of my mindset. So kind of looked around online at some Kubotas, watched a few videos, but pretty quick, I just kind of started zeroing in on the green John Deere. And, not coming from country farm life, I didn't really know why, or I wasn't particularly drawn to John Deere over anything else. But when it really comes down to it, I love the color of the thing. I mean, it's kind of funny. I mean, everybody jokes about, the green paint. You pay twice as much for the green paint, but it's not just the green paint, but the color scheme itself is just, it's just iconic. And not that I have anything against Kubotas, or blue is my favorite color, but red, Mahindras and TYMs and all these others. But honestly, when you think about setting up your farm well into the future to maybe kind of have all of your tractors one color, John Deere, it just seems like natural color that you want on your property. And so my first tractors or yard lawnmowers were the STX 38. And just kind of having them all related together seems to go well, in my opinion. And as I got looking into it, I just do honestly believe that John Deere is the best quality tractor. Is it as good? Does it justify the expense of it? Maybe not. But is it better than the other offerings? In some ways, maybe not. Does it lack some of the features, some of the specifications, some of the robustness? I don't know. I mean, maybe, maybe not. But overall, I just feel like it is the premier top quality tractor available. That's just my opinion. It's not to disparage against any of the other tractors. They're all fine tractors. But, you know, I just kind of don't really want to have a whole hodgepodge of all different types. And so, you know, just through this experience and having bought it brand new, which I've maybe never bought anything else brand new besides my Subaru car, and that's my wife's car. She bought it brand new. I wasn't even there. The purchase experience was awesome, I gotta tell you. And so speaking of that, when I got there to first go and look to see what they had on the property there at Stote's Equipment in Tremonton, about an hour drive from here, Utah. It was funny because I had made a couple phone calls to him asking him if he had this tractor, and he said, no, not really, but I've got one similar in size. I think it was a 3025. Come down, check that out, drive that around. I've got a couple 1025s sitting here. You can kind of play with the backhoe and take a peek. So big shout out again to Matt, my guy there at John Deere. He's been over backwards to help me out with this, and all through the process, never once did I ever feel like he was trying to get one over on me or trying to give me a bad deal or trying to make a bunch of extra money or anything, dude. He totally gave me a fair shake on this thing, and the experience overall it was just awesome. But it's funny because that first day that I met with him and saw those tractors, like I looked across the yard trying to do a little haggling, you know, oh, I haven't gone over and checked those out. And he just looked over there and there's some Massey Fergusons and stuff over there. And he's like, those red tractors, he's like, real farmers use John Deere tractors. So I was like, okay. He was just being funny about it, but honestly, man, John Deere agricultural tractors and big construction equipment is, again, I think probably top tier. And you pay for that, but you also pay for that peace of mind. You don't pay for it necessarily because you want to have the best thing out there so that other people see you have the best thing out there. You just want to have the peace of mind that the best care is going to be taken of it. And when you buy something new and you have a warranty and they have the ability to bring the service truck up here, I've had two problems with this tractor throughout the purchasing process. And I'll talk about those here in a second, but you know, they've got the service truck that comes up. So this thing's gonna be under warranty for the full 6 years, which is also top quality, standing behind their product. That's awesome. And there's just some of the other features and stuff, the design of it. You know, a lot of people talk about the quick attach front bucket and how it's proprietary only to John Deere. It doesn't comply with, you know, the Bobcat or the standard front attachments. And I get that, and it's a total pain in the ass. I'm sure you can change those out or mount that to a quick attach thing, and I get it, it's a kind of a headache, but honestly, the simplicity of this thing and the beauty of it and the functionality of it, it just is the best. I do think that it is the best design. And you know, Rock Hill Farms too. Rock Hill Farms, so that's maybe 6 channels that were absolutely super helpful on his channel. I've been hooked on for a couple months now. I watched almost all of his videos, and he's got a super awesome channel there. One more shout out, Farmcraft 101. He doesn't have a John Deere tractor, but he's got some excellent content on there. You know, Brock at Rock Hill Farms talks about how now that he's getting some other equipment, it's a pain in the ass, and he doesn't care that it happens to be the best. Doesn't matter when it's incompatible with the rest of what's going on. And so, you know, that's a personal thing. It's a debate. Depends on your purposes and your uses whether or not that's going to be a problem for you. But I gotta say, I do love the way that thing works. It's awesome. Works great. It's a joy to use. Before I get too far away from it, the 2 things that I had a problem with. you know, they got this tractor, and then they had to install the backhoe, they had to install the third function up front, these lights, what else did they install? Rim guard in the wheels and tires, and the wheel spacers. And I guess that's about it. But you know, it's quite a job to get all that stuff installed. Being that they had the tractor on site but didn't have everything, I mean, it sat there for like a month before it was all put together and ready for me to go. And that was about a month after it took me to get everything there. So it was about under 3 months, I think, from the time I really asked him to bring that tractor in and get it there. So I was just about ready to have it delivered, and the dang thing starts billowing smoke out. So Matt was just about to load it up onto the tractor, and it won't stop billowing smoke out. Turns out, on the turbo, the injector, one of the injector oil passage tubes or something was like routed and kinked or something. So it was like not getting oil or getting too much oil, one thing or the other, I'm not sure exactly. But he couldn't deliver it to me. So that was a kind of a heartbreaker that day, because I'd had a lot of anticipation. I wanted that damn tractor, and I had places to go, and I had stuff to go do. So he did the right thing. He couldn't deliver it to me, billowing smoke out. So we hung on to it for a few more days. They ordered a new turbo. So they had to put a whole new turbo on the thing, brand new. And they got it there within 2 or 3 days. And so that was the first problem. I've never had a problem with the smoking since. And it's all under the original delivery, factory warranty, etc. Then once they got it here, one of these, on the backhoe, one of the hydraulic line, I'm not sure exactly, but it's underneath the thing. There was a leak on that, and it was putting out a puddle about this big every day that it would sit parked. And I just kind of assumed that was because it was overfilled. You know, when they first install the thing, they got all these things to add, they really top it off really high. Ollie, come here, bud. Come here. And so it kept leaving these oil spots, hydraulic fluid, and I just figured that would go away. So after a couple weeks of that, I finally told him, I'm like, hey, that oil spot's not going away. He's like, what do you mean, what oil spot? If that's doing that thing, you gotta let me know. That's not supposed to do that. I was like, oh, well, I kind of thought it would. And so he sent out his guy right away, because up here in the valley, I mean, they've got dozens and dozens and dozens of tractors that they come up here and service. So they're up here in the neighborhood all the time. Also goes hand in hand with the quality, the service, the experience. There's a guy coming up here all the time, and he's gonna have parts on his truck, and you know, so being able to be taken care of like that is just, you're not gonna get that experience, I don't think, with some of the other brands, okay? Other than that, this thing has had 0 problems whatsoever. 0 problems. It's perfect. So, now I do kind of want to make mention of why I chose this particular size over, hey bud, over the 1025R. And I think you're probably gonna hear me talk about the 1025R a fair bit initially here over the first year or so, until I finally upgrade from this one, because I think the 1025R is a badass tractor, and depending on where you're at, what you're doing, it may be the exact tractor you need. The first video that I remember that helped me really open my eyes to this one compared to the 1025, which was what I was kind of initially thinking I could get away with, was Tractor Time with Tim, when he compared them side by side. And I saw them from the back, the PTO, the bigger tires, just the overall stance. I was like, wow, that really is quite a bit more of a tractor for, again, just a little bit more of the cost. Can't remember for sure exactly, but I think that honestly this tractor is maybe 1/3 of the cost more than a 1025R. Don't quote me on that, but it's not that much more, and in my opinion, it's so much more capability. I haven't had to hook it up to any really big attachments or anything, so I don't know how well the 38 horsepower is going to do over, if I'll need anything higher than that. I do wish that this being the largest framed 2 series, that I wish it was whatever the 3025 3 series frame tractor with a 38 horsepower engine, but I don't think I'll ever really notice the difference. And again, these tires, they're just so much more substantial than, you know, the 1025s. So I think in my case, if I had gotten a 1025, I really would have regretted that pretty quick. I mean, it was already obvious to me before I even really went and picked one out. But as I've mentioned throughout many of my videos, it's like a lot of the doors that I need to get this thing in and out of throughout here, it's very nimble, it's very maneuverable, turns on a dime, and it's not too big, you know, for my purposes. But it is just so much more of a tractor, in my opinion, than the 1025 would have been for my case. Now, I mean, again, that just depends on what type of property you're working and what you've got to do with it. One thing that I chose not to get on this tractor was the deck mower, because I've only got maybe less than an acre of lawn, and the deck mower was like $6,000 or maybe even up to $7,000. It was over $6,000. In my mind, I could buy an entire other piece of equipment, a zero-turn mower, a really nice yard tractor, you know, dedicated to mowing, instead of having that under here. So, you know, the work I'm planning to be doing with this, and if I can branch out and maybe do some work for some other folks, maybe at some point I'll wish I had that as a full package deal, but I don't think so. I don't have any plans to need that anytime soon. And I'm glad I didn't get that, just honestly. Glad I didn't get that. So, yeah. Again, the thing, you can check out all the other videos that I've talked through the process of while I've been working this machine. This job, again, was with about 30, it's honestly about 30 hours that I've put onto it, because it got delivered to me in about 7 hours. And just did that little fire ring job in the back and some stuff. But man, I've moved a mountain of dirt and rocks and soil out of this barn right over there. And you can check out the footage here. And it's just absolutely performed. It's a fantastic tractor. I'm super stoked with it. It hasn't even had a bath once yet, because the temperatures have been below freezing, so I don't want to spray it down and then have it glazed with ice forever. So today probably should have been a day I could wash it. Hopefully tomorrow I can do that. But a couple more jobs I got to do with this thing, but I got to run downtown and get a new radiator for my daughter's Land Cruiser. And anyway, hope you enjoyed this, and hopefully it was helpful. And if you would, check out some of the other videos on the channel. I'm trying to produce some consistent content when I can, and hopefully before too long I'll be back here at the farm a lot more. And we're, you know, a month into winter here, so I'm kind of looking forward to getting through a nice harsh winter. I do love winter up here, and really looking forward to the springtime, where we'll have the entire summer ahead of us and really get to put this tractor to use and really kind of explore that whole actually setting up a farm. So if you're interested in that stuff, we'd love to have you around, and leave a comment. And if you've got any other like suggestions or videos or your own channels that you could turn me on to that would be beneficial and helpful, I'm all about that, and I appreciate that. So hope you have a good day, and I hope you either are enjoying your John Deere tractor or your Kubota tractor or whatever. And and I guess we'll see you on the next one. Have a good one. All right, let's show you this bucket real quick. So yeah, a lot of scratches, obviously, that's fine. But I was really afraid of like deforming the top there, because I mean, this thing was picking some serious blocks of concrete. Okay, the bottom didn't get bent at all, so that's nice and straight and true still. The side here got a little mangled, just a little bit, not bad. Just take a hammer to that. The bottom scratched to shit, but again, no big dents. This side held nice and true. And yeah, I mean, super impressed. So I was kind of imagining that, man, I'm doing a lot of damage to this bucket. Maybe I'm gonna have to just buy a new one after this, you know, my first big job with it. I'm just gonna have to buy a new bucket, but hell no, that thing's a beast. And I do think that at some point I'll probably upgrade to the heavier duty one if I ever need to, but maybe I won't have to. And I think I'm gonna get I'll probably get the clamp on bar style instead of individual teeth. It's like one that clamps right on there and it gives you some long digger teeth. But I mean, look, whoa, look how high that thing goes. That thing is absolutely badass. And the rear bucket, you know, got banged up pretty good. Got a lot of scratches and rash through here from all that concrete. But again, I'm going to touch that up with some spray paint back in here as well. But that bucket is hella stout. I think this is the 12-inch bucket maybe. But no bends, no dents, solid as hell. These things, I don't know, maybe one of you guys can let me know if this is supposed to be tightened up more or allowed to be loose. It's probably supposed to be allowed to be loose so that it doesn't just snap and shear those bolts, you know? That's what I'm imagining, but yeah, the thing is a brute. Absolutely thrilled with it. It's just a joy and fun to operate every single time. If I had one thing that I wish they would improve upon, which I don't, no, just kidding, is I don't know why when they install this thing, why don't they put some, I'm gonna have to change these out for some round head screws, because look what it does to the seat here. It gouges the shit out of the seat when you're doing this, when you forget and you sit down in the back one, and it shoves that thing forward. So that's one thing I wish was different. As far as anything else that I actually wish was different, oh, I can remember now. When I'm working this pedal right here, my foot touches the third function tubes. So I'm gonna have to build just a little shield there. Now, you'd have to be touching that with your toe for a very long time to ever wear a hole in it. But, you know, I just thought that with the way this thing kind of hangs out there, that whole third function thing, maybe they should have zip tied some sort of or built some sort of a nice protection on there for that. But we got to get this this brand new tractor washed up and cleaned up, and then maybe put her to bed for a little while. She's been worked hard just in the first couple of weeks I've had her. So anyway, look at this mountain of soil that I have pulled out of that thing. And this is on top of all the concrete that was hauled away. I mean, this is somewhere close to 200. I would put it at least 150 front bucket loads of soil and rocks, in addition to that mountain of concrete that was over here. So anyways, all right, this time for real. Have a good day. See you later.